Hello, good evening, and welcome, guys, to Glasgow Raiders Nation. Sorry about that. My microphone refused to turn on to start the podcast. I do apologise for that. Very crap. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. Hope you are all well. I hope you've got some sound now. Welcome to Graham, Janet, and to Maze, all watching, guys. Hope you are enjoying your Wednesday evening. It's an interesting one, isn't it, guys? We're up to Wednesday now. Look, I think it's interesting, isn't it? What's going on with the club? I mean, there's positives, there's negatives, there's lots to discuss tonight. We're going to talk obviously about Joe Rothwell. That is an official signing now. We are up to signing number 2, signing number 3, depending on where you stand on signings. Is this signing number 2 or is this signing number 3? That's the question. We've got a live chat poll running as well. Poll is, are you happy with the Joe Rothwell signing? That is currently running at this moment in time. So if you obviously want to vote in that, that would be fantastic. Good evening to Malky. How you doing, buddy? So look, we're talking all things Rangers. We're going to talk transfers. We're going to talk a lot of things. Airwolf says more loan players. There's a little bit of that going around. There's a new video out as regards that. So if you're interested in that one, check it out. Grant, evening, buddy. How you doing? I've got to say, look, before we talk a bit of Joe Rothwell, just a bit of a plug again, if I may. If you haven't yet checked it out, please check out the new Scottish football channel, which has just been launched by myself, Owen James Football Channel, OJFC, guys. It is out. We're up to 96 subscribers. We are just 4 subscribers away from hitting the magic 100 mark with that channel already, which is absolutely fantastic. If you've already join that channel, then thank you so much for doing that. But yeah, obviously that's my ambition, is to get that one going as well. So please obviously check that one out and give it a sub if you can. Right, look, let's start off with and there's the comment in the live chat. Right, guys, let's talk a little bit of Rangers. Let's talk about this Joe Rothwell move first of all. So this one came a bit out of left field. it wasn't kind of expected it, at the end of the day. And Airwolf, I think, makes a brilliant point here. Airwolf, I'm actually going to touch on this. Airwolf says, when people say Rothwell's not good enough, who is on our budget? Rodri, Gravenberch ain't coming. This is the point I made. I made a video on TikTok, on the TikTok channel earlier this evening, talking about the Joe Rothwell signing. Joe Rothwell, as a player, is the guy who played very well for Leeds United in the EFL Championship, helped Leeds to get promoted to the English Premier League, played exceptionally well, and if you ask most Leeds fans, they spoke very highly of him. They say that he's very confident on the ball, that he's very good with the ball, he passes the ball exceptionally well, that he is exceptionally good as that six. He's very metronomic. He controls the tempo of the game. He recovers the ball well. He tackles well. He's very good with set piece delivery. So he takes corners, takes free kicks. James Tavernier, watch out. Does all those things. And you listen to Leeds fans speak of him, and they all speak very highly of him. They're raving about the player. Now, people talk then and will say, well, he's 30 years old, he's a bit of a journeyman, etc., etc. But look, as Airwolf says, who are you expecting? I mean, realistically, genuinely, guys, question for you. Who did you expect us to actually go and sign in this transfer window? Did you expect us to go and buy Rodri or Martin Zubimendi or Mikel Merino or Ryan Gravenberch or Kobe Mainu or, prime Marco Verratti? Well, I'm sorry, guys, it ain't going to happen. The club's not in a position financially to go and splash 25 million pounds on a top class number 6. And if you want a player that's the same class as Rodri or the same class as Gravenberch, you're looking at 70, 80, 90 million pounds. It is what it is, guys, and you've got to take it as Rothwell has come in. Rothwell is a player who has played previously for Russell Martin. He understands Russell Martin's system. He works well in Russell Martin's system. He's a player that Martin clearly rates and likes. He had him at Southampton in the Championship. Like I said, Leeds have had him. They like him. I honestly reckon that he is a player who can come in and make a difference. And you know what? As has been said by many an expert on Rangers and on the old firm as well, you can have the great statistics in the world and you can be worth a shit ton of money, but you can come in to Scottish football and to the old firm and you can struggle and you can look awful. And for me, this is a good signing. This is a good, solid signing. This is a player who's going to come in, who'll hit the ground running, who'll be available from day one, who's not a youngster who is still developing. And I want to talk about that as well in a minute in relation to this move, about signing young players, which I think we'll still do. You've got to look at Freegan and Turgeman, who we've been linked with, are all young players. So I think this is the situation now. Let's pick up a couple of your comments on this one. He's not alone, not seen much today. Okay, when people say Rothwell's not good enough, who is on our budget, good points. I don't see the signings bettering the team. What happened to reducing the age of the team? I think it's a care home now, says Grant Willis. Grant, I'd say 30 years old, central midfield player. It's not a risk, mate. He's a good footballer. I understand your concerns. I really genuinely do. But who are you expecting, realistically? Presumably Rothwell will be our 6 or 8. I think he'll be a 6, Mays, and if Raskan stays, he'll be the 8. Evening, Graham. How you doing, buddy? Hey, Ramey. How you doing? We constantly hear how good players are when they come to Rangers and disappear. Good. Yeah, true. They do. You turn some top class talent. They come in and they just get lost in our club, don't they? I'm happy with Rothwell, mate. Didn't even know he was on the radar, but I've always liked his style of play. Spot on. We can't go and spend big money. I think some of the fans thought 49ers were going to do a Todd Bowley. That just isn't possible, guys, is it? Look, there's a little thing called FFP. And, Rangers' revenue is not in a position that we can go and spend 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 million pounds on players. It just isn't at that point. I think I worked it out that we can spend up to 70 million, but that's with wages and everything. And, it's about breaking even. We need experience as well. You can't do it with just kids, Robert Campbell says. Very good point there. He'd link up well with Dow if they decide to keep him, says Gorguts. I don't know about Dow, mate, whether he's coming or going. You need to mix of good pros who younger players can learn off. Correct. We already have a quality number 6 or 8 called Raskan. Grant, true, but is Raskan staying? That's the big question. Raskan is subject of amount of transfer business. Now, we don't know where we're up to with the whole Raskan business in terms of his contract. Does he stay? Does he go? It could be that Raskan has turned down a new contract, and Rangers are looking at it and saying, well, look, realistically, we get an offer in excess of £25 million for the player. We're going to sell him, and we need a replacement. We need a ready-made replacement who can hit the ground running from day one, and that's Rothwell. Big Dave says, incoming's been not bad in my opinion, not overly inspiring, but decent enough. But where's the update on getting rid of the dross? That's my priority. Well, we need our quality defenders, says Grant. I mean, some good points there, very good points in the live chat. But, going back to this other question that's been kind of levelled at Joe Rothwell recently, is the whole, he's 30 years old, he's too old, he's way too old for us. Well, the problem is, realistically, you need to have a situation where you have look, we'll get on to Raskan, Airwolf and Grant shortly. You need to have a situation where you've got a mix. Okay, now, one thing that Rangers are very, very short of, for me, is experienced leaders in the dressing room. We've lost Leon Balogun, okay? We lost Goldson a little while ago. Never really replaced that leadership element that he had. We've lost Tom Lawrence, who, whether you like it or not, was a senior pro at the club. The one thing we don't have is we don't have a lot of leadership in this group. You look at the back, there's no leaders. You look at in the central midfield area, there's no experienced leaders there. And you can have all the young players you want. And we've certainly got a lot of young players now. We've got Hjefte, who's 21 years old. We've got, Raskan's young, Dio's young, Barron's young. Hamza, still at the club at the moment, is young. Oscar Cortez, young. McCausland, still at the club at the moment, young. There's a lot of young players in there. Now, you can't field a squad or a team on a Saturday in the SPL with just 20-somethings. Mate, seriously, it ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. You need an experienced core, and you need a spine to your team that is experienced, that has that ability to lead by example and direct the game and take over that game. Rothwell's in that category. He's 30 years old. He's played for a number of clubs. He's played for a number of very, very bigger clubs in England. He spent last season on loan at Leeds United. He won the EFL Championship, which is a tough league. The EFL Championship is probably the second biggest league, second toughest league in Europe. It's a very difficult league to get out of. It's a very strong league. It's physical. It's fast. At the end of the day, I think, that's what we need to be doing, is bringing in some younger players. And the trading model, if you look across the city, the trading model is not just about buying young players, developing them and selling them on. It's about having a core of experience there as well. And I just think the whole argument of it's got to be 11 players for the trading model is not an argument. You can't just sign 11 players that you're going to end term to develop and sell on at the end of the day. John McClyster says, we can't go on selling our best players and replacing them with retirees from the EFL. If Raskan and Diamonde go, we will win SFA this season. I mean, you're thinking being sweet for call. Still got all the deadwood and no other clubs want. Airwolf says, Sheffield Wednesday players are apparently handing in notices. There we go. Interesting. Exactly. We're not asking for millions to be spent, just players with experience at Rangers. Balogun should have been kept on reduced terms. I agree with that. I do think Balogun should have been kept on the club. Grant says, you talk about getting rid of Dessers because of his age, so why bring in a 30-year-old that's not the trading model. As I've just tried to say, you can't rely solely on those players. And like I said as well, Cyril Dessers is a player that's interesting in clubs. If he wasn't interesting in clubs, then we wouldn't be selling him. Callum McGregor, 32, Forrest, 33, but we can't bring in experience. Embarrassing. May says, 30 years old isn't ancient. I'd be interested to see, if Rothwell had been 25, 26, would we have got the same reaction to this signing? I'd love to know the motivation behind this signing. And I think the other thing is, we can't keep going on and harking on about dodgy EFL players and duffers from the EFL and average players. Yes, in the past, we have signed some pretty poor players from the EFL. I'll give you that. The Ben Davises of this world, the Kieran Dowells of this world, and so on and so forth. But you can't, at the end of the day, let that stop you from buying players who you like from the EFL Championship. If there are good players playing the EFL Championship who you genuinely think could do a job for Rangers, then you've got to go and buy them. And obviously, Russell Martin, Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdy, who are far more experienced than we do, like Joe Rothwell. They think he's going to be a good player for us. And, I think we've got to go with it. We've just got to go with it, guys. We can sit here in our rooms and wherever we are, in our offices, and we can criticise the signing and say he's over the hill and he's a retiree and blah, blah. Well, number one, he's not a retiree, right? Okay, he's 30 years old. He's on a 3-year contract. Okay, so he's going to be here for 3 years minimum. Okay, he was signed for an undisclosed fee. We don't know what the fee was. No one does. I'm sure Celtic fans will be able to tell us what the fee was, because let's face it, they know everything about Rangers that we don't know. I don't know what he's on a week. You know, I've read some rumours. I don't think they're true. So at the end of the day, you know, I think at the end of the day, we've got to look at this as a positive. We've got to look at this as a player who Russell Martin clearly thinks can come in and do a job for his team. And as I said on the video earlier, I put a video out about this lad from Wolves that we're interested in on loan. And, you know, I said, look, at the end of the day, we've got to trust the manager. We've gone through a spell now where we've sacked managers. We've brought a new manager in. We've sacked him. We've brought another new manager in. We've sacked him. And are we getting any closer to them? Realistically, are we any closer to them than we were a year ago? You know, Airwolf says, would fans be moaning if this was Arfield and not Rothwell? That's a good question, guys. Answer that question. Answer Airwolf's question. Good question. Robert says, I am feeling good about this season. Not had that for a few years. Is the big issue they get 25 million for their best players? We get 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. Anas says, Theo Asgard from Luton being linked, not giving me goosebumps. They paid 3 million for him in January. Luton have just been relegated to League One, haven't they? So you never know, they could be fire selling off their players. Also says Matt O'Reilly was a League One player at one point. You know, like I said, I don't think we could be snobby about where we get players from. It's the same snobbery we see about Scottish players at times, isn't it? You know, it's the same snobbery we see about Scottish players. You know, we sign Scottish players. Oh, they're Scottish players. They're rubbish. They play for Dundee. They play for Hearts. They play for Hibs. They must be crap. Well, you know, where do we stop with this one? You know, where do you want players signed from? Because we ain't going to get players from Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, because we can't afford them. We can't afford to keep shopping. You know, look, even that lot across the city that have got a revenue of 124 million can't compete with the likes of even Borussia Dortmund, Bayer Leverkusen for money. They can't. They just haven't got the money. And if they haven't, we haven't certainly got it. You know, all the best to Igman if he's sold. Reinvest in January. All the best to Igman if he's sold. Reinvest in the striking department. Sorry, misread that one. So, you know, look, Rothwell is good. I think he's a good player. I think he will be a good player for Rangers. I think he'll do a good job for Rangers, and I think he'll come in and bring some experience and bring some leadership. Golgut says we need Cody in and either Freegan and or Turgeman in before Panathinaikos. Right, I mean, let's touch on the Raskan debate that we've had. I mean, everyone's talking about us, we're selling all our best players. And the question I'm going to ask you tonight is, who have we sold? Who have we sold? Who have we sold already? Now, we know that Lawrence has left the club, and we know that Hadji's left the club because their contracts have expired. So now we are out of into the new FFP year. Hadji's gone, Lawrence has gone. Okay, so we know they've gone. We didn't sell them. They walked for nothing. Bad business, needs to be looked at. But who have we actually sold? Have we sold Hamza? Yet. Have we sold Raskan? Yet. Have we sold Diamonde? Yet. Have we sold Dessers? Yet. So everyone who's saying at the moment, oh, we're selling all our best players, who have we sold? Who have we sold? Come on, tell me, please, live chat. Who have we sold? Which player have we sold this summer already? Because we've sold nobody. Nobody of note, anyway. We haven't sold Hamza yet. We haven't sold Raskan. We haven't sold Dio. We haven't sold any of those players. None of those players have left the club yet. I've also read as well the whole we're selling them for bargain basement prices. Are we? Are we really? So tell me, please, what's the fee for Igman? What's the fee for Raskan? What's the fee for Diamonde? What's the fee for this player, for that player? There isn't any because we haven't sold anyone. There's nobody gone out the door yet. So let's not cast aspersions on whether we're selling players or not selling players. In fact, I think we're actually playing hardball over a lot of players. Because you look at Dessers, and we know that, we know from so many sources now, there have been bids from AEK Athens for this player. But the club have held firm on their valuation. AEK want to pay 4 million. Rangers want 5 million. Rangers will not budge from that 5 million. AEK Athens, I've got to now pay the 5 million, or fuck off. That's the way it's working out. This is what we want. You won't pay it, you don't get him. So we're actually playing hardball over these fees. John McClyster says we haven't sold the Barry White that's currently at the club. We are a selling club. Selling club. Fact is, many in the fan base haven't got the memo. At all costs, Raskin should be retained, says Mays. Should have kept Hadji. Robert, I agree. I would have kept Hadji. It's looking like a 17.5 million for Igman, latest from Lille. We're still lumbered with dead wood. Raskan doesn't extend contract, he will be sold. IEK will pull out, says Alan. Yeah, I agree. Look, at the end of the day, if Raskan doesn't, we'll talk Raskan first, and then we'll talk Hamza in a minute. So if Raskan doesn't sign his new deal, okay, so he's got 2 years left on his contract, right? He cannot be allowed to play next season and get down to the last 12 months of his deal, because the moment he gets down to the last 12 months of his deal, all the clubs around Europe will say, right, you ain't getting 25 million for him. You ain't even getting 10 million for him. There's 8 million. There's 5 million. Take it or leave it. And when we go, no, he's worth 20 million, they'll go, okay, we'll wait 12 months. And then in 12 months, he is going to walk for nothing, and you will get zip for him. So at the end of the day, he is now in a position where we are 2 years left on that deal with Raskan. Now, reportedly, and we've heard rumours from Dujon Sterling with his comments on Instagram stories, that there's a contract there. That there's the club are attempting to try and tie Raskin down to a new long-term contract. This comes on the back of Russell Martin saying that he wants Raskan to stay. Look, we all want Raskan to stay. Of course we want Raskan to stay. But if he won't sign that new contract, if he will not sign a new 5-year deal with the club, 4 or 5 year deal with the club, then at the end of the day, we've got to sell him this summer, because we cannot allow him to get down to the last 12 months. Because if he gets down to the last 12 months, what happened with Arfield, what happened with Kent, what happened with Morelos, what happened with Barisic, what happened with Lundstrom, what happened with Lawrence, what happened with Hadji, what happened with Hollander, is going to happen with him. And he's going to walk for nothing. And we're all going to sit here in 2 years' time, we're going to go, well, that's shit. We've just lost a player that's worth about £25 million for absolutely nothing. So we've got to look at the situation as it is. Now, if he doesn't sign the contract, then we must be looking at, obviously, selling him on. Now, if we're selling him on, we've got to look for the maximum possible fee for him. And that, for me, is between 20 and 25 million pounds. 25 million being the optimum amount. If, obviously, if Villa are interested, if Wolves are interested, if Premier League clubs are coming in for him, then you've got to be demanding top dollar, because Premier League clubs have got top dollar to spend. And as Airwolf says, we are becoming a selling club, because we have to be a selling club. Celtic are a selling club. They are a selling club. They sold O'Reilly. They sold Jota. Yes, they've got Jota back. They sold. Who else have they sold? They've sold all the players. I don't know who else they've sold. I don't particularly care who they've sold. I know they've sold all the players. So at the end of the day, they sell Kyogo. So at the end of the day, we are a club that has to sell to be financially viable and to move forward. And like I said, with Nicholas Raskan, if he doesn't sign that new contract, it's time he goes. He has to go, because unfortunately we're in that position now where we can't. We've got to stop the Ryan Kents from this world from happening again, the Alfies of this world from happening. I mean, if you think about how much talent has walked out that door for nothing, how much money we could have raised if we'd sold Barisic, Lundstrom, Hollander, Arfield, Morelos, Kent, Lawrence, Hadji, at the tops of their value, how much money could we have brought into the club for all those players and then reinvested into the playing squad and brought in better players? Where would we be now? I mean, this is a question that needs to be asked. It really does. And I would say we'd be better off. We'd be facing a situation where we'd have more money, we'd have better players, we'd have made more money from them, and we'd be in a position to probably won another league title in that time, or at least another couple of cups in that time, or done a little bit more in Europe in that time because of the money we've got. But we've been left in a situation where 60, 70, 80, 90 million pounds worth of talent has just walked for nothing. And that's bad business. And that's why we are in the situation we're in with Raskan now. If he doesn't sign that deal, unfortunately, he will have to be sold. And that's just how it works. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here and saying I want to see Nicholas Raskan sold, because I don't. I don't want to see Raskan sold. I want him here. I want him playing for Rangers for the next 3-4 years because he's a top talent. Top talent. Let's get a look at some of your comments in the live chat before we move on. Talk about Hamza. Big Dave, love it. Seems to be the biggest difference with the 49ers. They're not taking low ball offers, and clubs will need to get used to the fact we don't need the money to keep lights on anymore. Yes, we are playing hardball, guys. We're not going to... Obviously, that Bischoff, 19 5-goal contributions in 29 as a left back, worth looking at. May says, I'd love to keep Raskan and Igman, but I'd let Igman go first. Should be looking at the Norwegian and Denmark market. Well, I suppose we did with Dio came from Norgesland, didn't he? Let's have a look. Bluebells, the club upped the fee for Raskan to €30 million last week, apparently. That's interesting. That's put about £25 million, £26 million. Grant says Hamza was 4 years left, so shouldn't be rushing to sell him. I'd agree. I do want to talk about that Hamza situation, actually. What else have we got? 100% sign a new deal or move on, says RRM. Grant says certainly need one Airwolf. We absolutely have to get money in on outgoing players, says Mays. Janet says it's scary to think of that. Bluebell says I don't think they'd be demanding the amount they are if they aren't somewhat confident he's going to sign a contract extension. Interesting point. Janet, I was Hadji a lot of years back. Grant says give Raskan a new contract with a set fee clause. Yeah, a release clause. I would agree with that one. That's a good shout, actually, Grant. If you're going to tie Raskan down to a new contract, put a release clause in his contract. That's what we do, isn't it? You know, that's what we do. That's what big clubs do. That's what they do. They put release clauses in their contract. I mean, reportedly, I don't know how true this is, but I don't know if any of you have heard of it. There's an Argentinian striker at Atletico Madrid called Julian Alvarez. And he was a subject of interest from Arsenal and Liverpool from the Premier League. So they've put a €500 million release clause in his contract. That's basically he ain't for sale. And if you want to buy him, he's going to cost you an arm and a leg. What else have we got here? Hamza has a 30% sell-on clause, and if we're smart, we will do the same with his value increases. And he gets sold, we get a share. If they will sell him at a loss, we lose nothing. Good point. The problem was playing hardball. We really can't keep players fit, and then the price drops right down. I suppose that's a point. Alan says window shuts and Dessers is still here. Thelwell should be sacked for worrying about 500,000. Good point. Joe Boy looks like Kirk Broadfoot. Interesting. Chris Jack reported there's a sell-on fee for Hamza, but it's nowhere near the 30% being touted. That's good. Although Chris Jack, is he the most reliable these days? Right, look, you know, that's one thing. I mean, the whole Hamza situation, there's so many rumours with Hamza. You know, what's happening with Hamza? Is he going to Lille? Is he not going to Lille? You know, there was reports last night. I was reading reports when I went to bed last night early because I had to get to work for 5 a.m. And I was looking at the reports, and there was a whole situation where they were reporting that he was at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, ready to go out to Lille, which is on the north coast, I think, ready to sign a new contract. Okay. Okay, fine, right. But I don't know how true that is. That's just a report that was out there. And let's face it, when we're in transfer silly season, like we are at this moment in time, you always hear this, don't you? You always hear this player's at this airport, this player's at that airport. Ronaldinho spotted at Glasgow Airport. You know, we're used to all those ridiculous reports, aren't we? But the whole Hamza situation, right? Now, look, I don't know what the sell-on is. Chris Jack saying it's not 30%. Hamza's saying it's not 20%. You know, Bluebell says, come on, mate, I know you don't like the Rangers review, but Jack is the most reliable Rangers correspondent we have. Fair enough. I mean, I trust Romano more than him, but there we go. I mean, look, let's face it, Bluebells, he did come out and say that the next Rangers manager would have nothing to do with the club. Good shout, that one. Fernandez got announced. Stuart Fernandez got announced. Which Fernandez are we talking about, buddy? Let me know about that one, please. But look, you know, at the end of the day, we've got to look at this in terms of Hamza. If there's a sell-on clause in his contract, Rangers have really got to kind of take that into account when it comes to the whole situation around the fee. Now, let's say, for example, we get 17.5 million, which is about 15 million pounds, right? If we get 15 million, right? Now, if we get 15 million pounds, right, then for Hamza, Okay, because 17.5 million euro is roughly, it translates at about 15 million. Okay, if we take that off, if we take off 30%, okay, that's 10.5 million we get. Okay, 10.5 million. Okay, if, for example, it's 20%, which is the other amount that's been talked about, okay, then we get 12 million, which isn't bad. 12 million is not bad, right? So I don't know what the sell-on clause is. So I do think we've got to try and bring in the sell-on clause and take account of that, whatever percentage that is. And I'm not saying I know what it is, because I don't. Fernandez just announced. Who is Fernandez? Let me know about that one. Fernandez just announced. Let's have a little look what that one's about. Let's go on to Twitter. Here we go. Right, okay, so new deal, guys. Breaking news just in. Rangers have signed Emmanuel Fernandez from Peterborough United. This is on the official club Twitter account, okay, or X account, whatever the hell you call it these days. We are pleased to announce the signing of Emmanuel Fernandez on a 4-year deal from Peterborough. Okay, this is the latest news. This is on the Rangers website, okay? Rangers Football Club are pleased to announce the signing of Emmanuel Fernandez on a 4-year deal from Peterborough. The 23-year-old defender joins the club on a permanent basis, becoming the latest addition. So this is a signing, guys, not a loan. This is a signing, not a loan. Beginning his career with Brentford, Fernandez joined Peterborough in 2021, having had spells with Gillingham and Ramsgate. That's on the south coast of England. For those of you who don't know, it's a ferry port. The promising young centre-back impressed last season, making 42 appearances for the League One outfit. Speaking after signing for Rangers, Fernandez said, "I am honoured. It is a huge club with a great fan base, and I think I can kickstart my career and have a good journey here. I was shocked when I heard about Rangers because it's such a big club, but it was the place I wanted to be. I haven't played at this level. There will be a lot of life changes for me, but it's something I want to be part of, and I can't wait to get started." Russell Martin said this: "Emmanuel is a young defender with a huge amount of potential, and I'm excited to welcome him to the club. He has a strong physical presence, is a commanding defender, and I believe in this environment we can help him develop and provide him with the opportunities to take his game to the next level. I'm going to look forward to welcoming into the group and getting to work." So it sounds from Russell Martin's comments like he is planning to start Fernandez and play, well, not start, but play Fernandez in some way. He's not coming in as a squad player. He's not coming in as just a player to make up the numbers. He's coming in to play as a player who will actually be used by the club. May says, "Hopefully be better than the last Fernandez." Rafael Fernandez, I agree with that one, mate. I don't know what the hell he did or what the hell his point was. Sporting director Kevin Thelwell added this. Okay. "I am delighted Emmanuel has joined the club. He's a really promising young defender who we can hope to have a big future at this football club. We have been impressed with his development and journey from non-league football to League One and the dedication, work rate and ambition he has shown. I'm excited to see what he can achieve here at Rangers with the support of the staff and off the pitch." So this has come completely out of the blue, guys. It is one. I mean, like I said, I didn't expect this tonight. But it is a new signing. It is another signing. It is a permanent signing. This is a good player. It sounds like a very good player, in terms of who he is. And let's find out a little bit more about this young man who has signed for us tonight. So Emmanuel Fernandez. Let's try and find out what was the fee. We'll try and find out the fee as well. Just give me a minute. Okay, so Emmanuel Fernandez, he is 6'4", so he's a big old unit. He's not small. He's a big physical defender, which I think is positive because let's face it, there's one thing that Rangers don't have, okay, and that's a lot of height. Especially with Balogun leaving, that's a lot. So a 6'4" is good. The way Martin sets up a defence, Fernandez will get backache, helping Butland pick the ball out of the back of the net. Funny RRM. I think, yeah, it's always undisclosed, isn't it, these days? So he started his career at Brentford. He then went to Gillingham, Sheffield United on loan, Margate on loan, Ramsgate on a permanent basis, then Peterborough, then Spalding, then Barnet. So he's had a lot of time in England playing in the lower leagues. Like I said, he began his career with Brentford and Gillingham, spent time on loan at non-league clubs. He was released by Gillingham and then he went to Ramsgate, 2-year contract. Now, this is a player who, to me, it seems very much like it's... Stuart says, ask a Celtic fan the Theo in LOL. I mean, yeah, that's the way to go, isn't it? I mean, in total in his career, he's made 85 appearances, scoring 8 goals. So he's not got a vast amount of experience at this point in time. So, you know, look, I mean, the transfer market had his value at as little as 350,000, you know, which is about 250,000 pounds, you know, for the player. He can play right back, he can play centre backs, we can play in a number of different positions. So, you know, look, it looks like a player. I mean, like I said, he looks like a decent player. He was under contract till 2027 with Peterborough. If we look at his stats from this season, how he got on, let's have a quick look through so we can find out his stats from this season. Looking at what he's done this season, let's have a quick little run round. We'll get you to your comments in a minute. Let's have a little look, shall we? So he has played, here we go, Peterborough, 61 appearances in total for Peterborough, 7 goals, 8 for Barnet, 2 for Gillingham under 18s. In terms of which competitions he's played in League One, the EFL Trophy, the National League, the FA Cup, the EFL Cup, the FA Youth Cup, 1 game in the Championship and 1 game in the League One playoffs. So that's where he's coming from. He's a centre-back by trade. He's a big physical guy, a quick guy by the looks of things. It's an interesting signing. I think that's the way it looks. Bluebells, we won't have paid more than £1.5 million in my opinion. I think you're probably fairly accurate on that on Bluebells. Ask a Celtic fan the fee. He's honoured to sign for Rangers. Hope he turns out okay, says Janet. Stephen Tennant says these signings are similar to Mark Warburton's signings. Interesting comment there from Stephen. RRM says undisclosed usually means the fee and they don't want no one to know they sold them cheap. True. That versatility is promising. He had a contract with the Posh until 2027, so we would have had to pay a bit over his transfer market price, I'd guess, possibly. Like I said, I think probably around about £1.5 million, possibly for the player. Guys, just a reminder, 75 people watching. Please, obviously, subscribe if you've not yet subscribed. Obviously, please also remember to obviously like the video. Owen, you look like a player, but you could play for Rangers. Lol. I used to play a long time ago, but I'm too old, fat and unfit these days, mate. Hopefully we get Jigger from Wolves as well. Looks like we're looking at speed in defence. Yeah, I mean, he's a quick player. He's a big player. I think this is what we're looking at. We're looking at trying to... I mean, it looks like we're beefing up the defence. It looks like we're bringing in players for the defence. Max Aarons is in. This young lad is in. You know, Joe Rothwell can play in defensive midfield. So it looks like, you know, very much he's building from the back in terms of the way he's building this one. Ewan says League One players versus Champions League players. It's not going to end well. Mate, the only thing I'd say is the English leagues are some of the strongest leagues in world football. That's all I'd say is, you know, the level in England, in terms of the ability levels in England, are very high. That's all I'm going to say. Robbie Popper, he'd be off next. Well, let's hope so. Popper is going to possibly leave to go to Twente. We've heard that one. But, I mean, this signing's come, I mean, completely out of left field again. You know, so it very much to me seems, and I'm just kind of trying to work on the hoof here now after this signing tonight. It seems very much that we're kind of looking at players and bringing in players that, you know, we're not expecting, that are not the players we've been linked with. You know, these are players that we seem to be bringing in that are just completely out. I mean, there'd been rumours, a few rumours around Fernandez, around Emmanuel Fernandez. I heard, you know, the only one that's kind of been long-term linked was Max Aarons. But, you know, the Joe Rothwell one came out of left field. It was not one it was rumour, sign. Fernandez, Emmanuel Fernandez, rumour, sign. You know, so... You know, again, who were the fans expecting? Canate. he's only got 12 months left on his deal, mate. Well, you never know. You never know. Aarons is a serious contender for right back. Look, I mean, I think on the Max Aarons one, I think if Max Aarons is here, he's got to play. He's got to start. He has to start. You can't have a player on loan for a season who you're going to sit on the bench and not use. It's just, that would be stupid, wouldn't it? So yeah, I mean, but this is a very exciting signing tonight. It's been an exciting day, you know. So we're up to what, 3, possibly 4 signings now. Depends on your debate. So Aarons, Rothwell, Fernandez, that's 3. Fernandez, like I said, he seems like a good footballer. He's big, he's quick, he's strong. At the end of the day, that's what we need at the back. The things we're lacking as a club, speed. We lack speed. I think the fastest player in the squad's probably Kiefte. We're lacking physical size. This guy's 6'4". So we're sort of trying to address those things, aren't we? We're trying to bring in those different things and address those different positions. And, again, this is probably a lad that Russell Martin, that Kevin Thelwell have identified has been a player who can play football, who can bring the ball out, who can pass the ball, who can use the ball well. This is the type of players that we'll be looking at, given the Russell Martin system. I mean, these are my opinions, guys, I hope he's kept Tav as captain, so they get a fee for him. Says Grant. I hope they fucking sell Tav. Coppin v Purdy. Who do you think wins? I think time will tell, Airwolf. Time will tell, buddy, on that one. But look, this signing is an exciting one. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It really genuinely is. And it's someone, like I said, we weren't expecting to come in. It really weren't expecting to come in. At this point, so it's broken tonight. It's a breaking news story. For those of you who don't know, obviously we've just signed Emmanuel Fernandez from Peterborough United, a League One defender, but a quick, strong, speedy, young defender. So those of you talking about we're only signing players from the retirement market, well, here you go, guys. Here's a player not from the retirement market. He's 23 years old. This is a player for the trading model, isn't it? This is a player who we develop and improve and try and get better. So hopefully this is one of those players. So, and that's what they talk about. If you look back at those comments that I read out from Kevin Thelwell, from Russell Martin, it's all about develop him, improve him, make him better. And that's kind of where we're at, isn't it? And yeah, alongside the Fernandezes, we're clearly going for experience as well. So we're not going solely down the whole, we're only buying kids. We're buying a range of players. We're buying experience like Joe Rothwell. We're buying young players like Fernandez. So, it's good. It's good work. It's good work from the boys. Apart from Rangers and Celtic, everyone else would struggle in the league. Mate, Airwolf, you're spot on, mate. Hearts, Hibs, Dundee United, Livingston, Falkirk would struggle in the English League One. Guarantee it. And they'd get relegated from the Championship. First live in a while. Been watching posted vids and liking when I can. Hope everyone is doing well. Hopefully the new signings make a difference for us. Time will tell, says Jiggy. Time is the best teller. Bluebell says this boy will do well. It wasn't unexpected though. We've been talking to Posh about him for the last few weeks. There we go. I reckon Purdy could be a turdy, says Alan Austin. Airwolf, thought you were talking about Purdy off the new Avengers. I'm bad, lol. Time reveals all, Airwolf. And this is what we've got to do. I think this is about time, isn't it? None of us truly know how Rothwell's going to do, how Fernandez is going to do, how Aarons is going to do, how a fully fit Oscar Cortez is going to do. We just don't know. It may be that they come in, they hit the ground running, and they're fantastic and they're brilliant and they do brilliant things for the club and they take the club forward. We don't know on that score, do we? But like I said, I'm excited by these moves. They're interesting moves. They're players who. It reminds me a little bit of what they did at Leeds. It really does. We're talking about selling some players, right? We're talking about selling some of our better players, which is what they did at Leeds. They sold Ruter, they sold Somerville, they sold Archie Gray, and then they brought in some sort of less well-known players, shall we say? I mean, if you look back at, let's just have a little look back as evidence on the old Leeds United transfers on what they've done, right? So this was last summer, okay? This was last summer. So they sold last summer Ruter for 46 million, Gray for 41 million, Somerville for 29 million, Luis Sinistera for 23.4 million, Glenn Kamara, remember him, for 10 million. And you've got Leeds fans, by the way, saying that Rothwell is better than Kamara. Cresswell for 4.5 million, Lorente for 3.25 million. They then brought in the following players. Now, they paid a fair chunk of money for Joe Rodon, who they knew about because he played for them for the season. But they brought in Largi Ramanzani for 7.7, which is about 5 million. They brought in Jaden Bogle for 5.95 million, which is about 3 million, 4 million. They brought in Ao Tanaka for €4 million, which is about £2.5 million. They brought in Isaac Schmidt for 2.97 million, which is just over £1 million. They brought in Manu Solomon on loan. They brought in Rothwell on loan. So they brought in a couple of loans, and they won the championship. They got 100 points and they won the championship. So I don't think we're dealing with complete mugs who don't know what they're doing. And it seems to me they're following a very similar pattern with Rangers, that some of our better players will leave to generate income, and they'll spend a little bit here and there. Now, what you'll see this year, I think, is Leeds will spend a shit ton more to stay in the Premier League. And it may be the next year that Rangers will spend that bit more to take the next step on. I don't know. I'm just trying to work on the basis of looking at what they did at Leeds and what they're doing at Rangers now, and trying to draw some similarities. Because, I know, we don't really know what's happening. We can only sit here and guess. None of us are in the know. I haven't got Kevin Thelwell on speed dial or Dan Purdy on speed dial, more's the pity. So, I'm just trying to guess like you are. Let's have a little look, shall we? What we've got, some more comments coming in. Cortez could be interesting. He certainly could if he comes off, if he can get fit. Absolutely. The new owners give me Moneyball vibes. Yeah, it's very much the Moneyball vibes. I mean, it is very data driven. If you go back, to look at what a lot of the Leeds fans have said, it is Moneyball. It's data driven. It's all about bringing in the best possible players for as little money as possible, but getting the best value for money. And that's what it's about. Those of you those of you who don't know what Moneyball is, if you've never seen the film, Moneyball is basically based on what the Oakland A's did. The Oakland A's were one of the smallest teams in Major League Baseball. Okay, they're up against massive clubs like the New York Yankees, who are like the Manchester City of baseball and have all the money, like the Real Madrid of baseball. And what they did was they lost 3 of their best players. They lost 3 of their most talented players. Okay, and they replaced them with 3 players who replaced them in the aggregate, who basically could bring through the sum of their parts the same as those 3 players. And it worked. They got to the playoffs. They didn't win the World Series, but they got to the playoffs. They had a very successful season. They had a record number of wins, and it was very data driven. It was very much looking at the data, using the data, scouting from the data, then looking at the player and bringing them in. And I think that's the way we seem to be going. And the 49ers do seem to use that data driven approach. They've already said that they're going to bring in that data driven approach. It's the approach that Brighton used. Those of you who've seen some of my videos over on the Owen James football channel about Hearts that we did on the Tony Bloom investment with Jamestown Analytics. Again, that's data driven. That's the way Brighton work. Brighton bring in relatively cheap players like Mitoma, Baleba, McAllister, and flog them for massive sums of money. And that's the way that the 49ers clearly want Rangers to go. Alan Austin says, I did hear Rothwell replace Kamara and was 10 times better. What else have we got? Some good comments here. Uncle Lumbago, what a cool name. I think I've got that in my back. I don't know how to answer the Rothwell question. I know nothing about him. I hope he's good. Me too. I still think we should have signed Cherney permanently. I do too, Grant. He's a cracking player. Looking forward to Sunday, says Thierry. Obviously, the first pre-season friendly is on Sunday against Bruges. Data is great, but in-person scouting is a must. And I think there is an element of that will still go on, Airwolf. Don't worry. Martin is definitely shaping up to play 3-4-2-1. If he signs Cody, it's almost a certainty, says Bluebells. Interesting. Bluebells, with the new signings, let's presume, Bluebells, that he gets Connor Cody. What's your 3-4-2-1? What's your team? I think we should make the best of this window. Next summers will be hugely impacted by the World Cup. Good point. Charles says, Moneyball isn't a bad thing. Hopefully it means we stop putting square pegs in round holes. That's a good point, mate. Something we did a lot last season. Both Barry Ferguson and Philippe Clement both did that, playing players our position. Hamza Rigaman as a left wing, for example. The previous season, Fabio Silva as a left winger, for example. The player trading in a nutshell: buy cheap, sell at a profit. Correct. We only wait and see what these players perform on the pitch before judging them. Correct. Airwolf says FSG do it to a degree at Liverpool. They do. Although this summer they kind of thrown it out the window, haven't they, with the Florian Wirtz, Frimpong, Kirkez, Isaks on the radar there. A bit like football version of Cool Runnings. A little bit, Maze. They need to hit the ground running though, Janet, as huge games coming up. Correct. Before yesterday, I thought Rothwell was a UFO crash site. That's Roswell, mate, but good one. Cody, Fernandez and Ciala, 3 at the back. That's an interesting back 3, Wolf. I think you know what, mate? That's a very interesting back 3. I think you could have something with that one. Bobby says, remember new owner said we better surprise with a couple of signings. Does that mean big names? Maybe. Hamza played 4 games as a left winger. He did. Shouldn't have played any games as a left winger. Should have played all his games as a centre forward, in my opinion. Charles Dalrymple says, as much as the data and analytics are good for players, hopefully the sort of poxy medical team out, mate. Correct, mate. They need to sort that poxy medical team out. It is a poor medical team. Definitely. But yeah, we do need to kind of look at this. And I think, like I said, it's been an interesting few days now, in terms of these signings, hasn't it? In terms of, obviously, this latest one is Fernandez, and it's interesting. The poll that's been running tonight so far, 99 votes in the poll. Are you happy with Joe Rothwell signing? 85% saying yes, 15% saying no. No, Uncle Lumbago, no more news as regards the Chelsea lad at this moment in time. Bluebells has got it. He says, new keeper. Mate, I don't see a new keeper coming in. I think Jack Butland will start the season. So Fernandez, right side centre-back. Nsiala, left side centre-back. Cody in the middle. Interesting. Aaron's right wing-back. Yefte, left wing-back. Raskan and Rothwell in the middle. Everything else needs new signings, assuming Hamza leaves. What about Cortez, mate? Where do you see Cortez fitting in, if anywhere? Yeah, but that's not a bad team. That's my 3 and my 4 of the 3-4-2-1. We're still missing 2 and 1, mate. Bischoff, left back, should be signed, says Airwolf. Interesting. I wonder if we've been linked with him. But yeah, I mean, look, mate. If we can hold on to Raskan, that's a really good side. That's a really good side, and I like the fact there's no James Tavernier anywhere near it. I think that's quality, mate. That's a quality team. But yeah, Connor Cody, I think hopefully will be one that comes in. I mean, it seems to have gone a bit quiet on the old Connor Cody front, doesn't it? That's a bit of a concerning one. But certainly, like I said, this Emmanuel Fernandez signing seems to have come completely out of left field. Not even one that we've kind of been expecting, is it? Like I said, I put a video out earlier today with the whole Nasser and Dejiga, the Wolves defender that we're linked with, and suddenly this Fernandez one comes up and is confirmed. I mean, I know that as was mentioned in the live chat, we've been talking to him and we've been talking to Peterborough, but there didn't seem any indication that the deal was anywhere near close. But it is obviously now a done deal, so it's an interesting one. Bobby says apparently Cortez was back early for pre-season and is impressing. Well, let's hope he stays fit, mate. Look, I'm not gonna argue with you, to be honest with you, in terms of him being a good player, because he is a good player. I mean, you go back to that Hearts game, then we beat Hearts 5-0. He was absolute different class in that game, wasn't he? But unfortunately, he just can't stay fit. That's the big one, isn't it? Kelly is better with the ball at his feet than Butland. Maybe. Kelly is better than... Yeah, I mean, he might be. Butland's a better keeper, though. I mean, I personally don't rate Liam Kelly as anything other than backup. I think he's a backup keeper. That's what he is. Also, Danny Rule, glad didn't get him. He seems to have down tools. I think the problem with Danny Rule as well is that you've got to pay a massive release clause to Sheffield Wednesday, which isn't helping other clubs go for him. Res1872 says, glad to see new signings coming in the door and out of the blue. Good. Bobby watched him yesterday, looking good, but it has to be the last in my opinion. RM says there will be 50 plus games to play, so Tavernier won't play them all. Aarons will get games, as will the others, as we need to strengthen depth in all positions. RM, I think you're probably right. Unfortunately, James Tavernier will play some games. Personally, for me, I wouldn't play him in any game at all. I personally would not use James Tavernier in any games this season. I'd put him in the stands. That's about the best place for him, or stick him in the reserves because I think he's shit. But unfortunately, yeah, he will figure at some point. Kelly can't. Kelly is a bit dodgy on corners, isn't he? He does seem to be a little bit dodgy on corners. I do agree with you on that one. He does seem to have a bit of a dodgy spell on corners. Put Butland and Kelly in all sorted. You can't play both of them, but yeah, I get your point on this one. Jack Butland, I think will start the season. I think we'll start the season as goalkeeper. I really do. I think he will start. Russell Martin's already said that he's going to give him his opportunity, that he's going to give him his chance to play. Is it Sheffield Wednesday that are struggling with wages? Yes, it is, Alan. Neither Butland or Kelly can play Martin Ball. Martin will probably prefer Kelly the way he plays. Butland's distribution is awful. The only thing I'd say Bluebells are blue is Martin has said that he will give Butland his opportunity in pre-season to play. So I think we will see Butland get an opportunity at least. What happened to Birmingham wanted to keep Davis and Dowell, says Grant Willis. Well, as far as I'm aware, Birmingham are considering a bid for Ben Davis, but apparently are not interested in Kieran Dowell now. They don't want Dowell. That's what I've heard. Mays Butland was criminal last season. He was. But the one thing I'd say about Butland is and as We Are The People says there, WATP says, Butland hasn't had a good defence in front of him. You've got to wonder what effect playing behind that shit defence had on him. Did that have a negative effect on him? Possibly. The lack of confidence in your defence does feed into your confidence. Does the lack of confidence in Rangers' defence feed into Jack Butland's lack of confidence and bad play? Maybe. William Flint says he will definitely be on. I think he will too. I mean, William, I think you're spot on. With what Russell Martin said about giving him an opportunity, I do think that he will play. Yeah. Put Butland and Kelly together, you still won't make a goalkeeper. RM, look, I ain't arguing. On current form, so on last year's form, Butland is not a goalkeeper. On the previous season's form, he's the best goalkeeper in Scotland. So take your pick. You pick your medicine, you take your medicine, you take your choice, don't you, at the end of the day? I don't know. At the end of the day, what will happen with that one? But look, it's an interesting time. It's an exciting time. Look, we've signed, obviously, 2 today, Rothwell and Fernandez. We've signed Aarons. If we go back to that last podcast that I did before my laptop exploded. Hi, Sean. How you doing, buddy? If you go back to that last podcast that I recorded, we sat there, didn't we, and said, oh, look, there's been no signings, nothing's happening. What the hell's the situation? If we're sat here in a week's time going, oh my God, we haven't signed anybody, where are we up to with this? So I think at the end of the day, we've got to be optimistic. We've started bringing in players, whether you like the players or don't like the players. I think he's immaterial because they're Rangers players now. At the end of the day, Joe Rothwell is a Rangers player. Emmanuel Fernandez is a Rangers player. Paul, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you here. So, at the end of the day, both Fernandez and Rothwell, whether you like their signings or don't like their signings, are both Rangers players. So we've just got to get on with it. Even Butland at his peak with us or anywhere was always nothing more than the top shot stopper. He was never commanded his area well, and his distribution has been awful. Still the best goalkeeper in Scotland, Bluebells. Is he the best out of a kind of bad bunch, but Jack will get more confidence with a better back four? That's what you've got to hope, William, that he gets better with a better back four. Paul McCorrickle says, Rothwell is... Paul, thank God for this point. Rothwell is quality. He will improve our midfield massively. This is the point I keep making, and you get so many crappy remarks about him because he's 30, because he plays in the Championship, that he's not good enough, He's a good footballer. He's a very good footballer. And you've only got to listen to Leeds fans talk about this old lad, that he's a good footballer. He's a quality player. They all rave about him. They say he's better than Kamara. I lost in Birmingham. I'm talking to a Japanese attacking midfielder who is out of contract. We should force their hand by signing Fukimoto. Love it. Butland's decline was insane. Can't help but think something other than his kid was going on behind the scenes. I think it was just the shit defence as well, mate. D. Anderson. Exciting times, guys. Yeah, agreed, Mays. We can only hope good days are returning. We get another 2 or 3. What else have we got? Paul says, Janet, prime time that we followed up with better players. Look, we don't know what's down the line. We could be that we get Turgeman suddenly arrives for 6 million or Freegan arrives for 6 million. Don't know. Rothwell's passing accuracy looks tidy, 90% plus. Can see why he was brought in, considering Martin's desire for possession football. Correct. Rangers fans ask for players with experience, then criticise signing a 30-year-old who won back-to-back promotions. This is the thing, mate. Thierry, I think as a Rangers fan and as a Rangers manager, Rangers head coach, as a Rangers board, you can't win. You can't win. You hear, we need young players. We need young players. We need young players. We need young players. So we sign a load of young players. We need experience. We need experience. We need experience. So we sign experience. Oh, he's too old. He's too old. Okay. We need Scottish players. And we sign a Scottish player and, suddenly he's shit. You can't win. You can't win. You never will. You never will with some of our fans. Mitov is the best keeper. He probably is now, mate. I'm not saying that Butland's the best now. I'm saying that he was the best 2 years ago. Watch a lot of Championship. Rothwell is an exciting signing, says Skeggy Bear. I mean, now with the signings today, I hope Davis, Proper, Cifuentes and Dow will go soon. Paul, I agree. I think, there was talk this week of 2-3 in, wasn't there? 2 in, 4 out. Hopefully that's going to happen. Yeah. Well, if it's the last board, we're waiting last minute. Yeah, true. RM says, my mate supports Leeds. He says Rothwell is nothing fancy, but he's a solid performer and flies into a tackle. It's what you want, mate, isn't it? It's what you want. Look, like I said, I'm excited by these signings. I'm enthused by these signings. I'm optimistic about these signings, going forward, that we've got some, I love this point, Airwolf. Bellingham and Salah, mate, if we sign Mo Salah tomorrow, but he's too old. You guarantee it, mate. Every hamburger munching fan is an expert in recruit. Mate, there's so many so many sofa sporting directors, mate. Lennon Murray, I think he would be good for us. You talk about Lennon Miller, mate. We won't get Shankland. He signed a new deal. Yeah, he has. Yeah, he signed a new deal with Hearts today, a 3-year contract, guys. If you want to find out a little bit more about that, go check out the Owen James Football Channel. Still on YouTube, guys. There is the Owen James Football Channel. Check it out, guys. It is on YouTube. It is out. I do have a video out on there about the new deal for Shankland. Go and check it out if you want to go and check out the content. I will try and drop the link now in the live chat. We're only about 4 subscribers away from 100 already. So if you could subscribe to that if you haven't already, that would be absolutely fabuloso. I wonder if that'll drop now. I hope that drops. Yeah, there you go. That's the link to the new Scottish Football Channel. So please, obviously, if you can, subscribe to that. Rothwell was barely ever been injured. Well, mate, he's probably going to get injured straight away as he's playing for Rangers. Welsh winger David Brooks being looked at, says Shug D. That's an interesting one. Alder says Shankland. Glad we never got him. Mate, I don't know. I don't want to talk about Shankland tonight anyway. But look, it's been an exciting night, guys, hasn't it? It's been a very exciting night for Rangers. Very exciting night. We've signed Fernandez. We've signed Rothwell earlier today. It's 2 in. What's next? What's next, guys? What's next? A separate podcast on your own. Yes, mate, Alan. It's called the Owen James Football Channel. It's out now. It's bringing you all the latest from the SPFL. So, does my head in why they are obsessed, mate? Oh, they're so obsessed. You want to read some of the comments on that as well. So, look, as you all know, I'm a huge Mark Goldbridge fan. I love Mark Goldbridge, right? Mark Goldbridge has the United Stand, which is his main channel, and he has That's Football, which is like his secondary channel, okay, where he does stories about every element of the Premier League, okay, where he talks about every team in the Premier League. He even talks about Liverpool and Manchester City, which he hates because he's a Man United fan, okay? So I've got Glasgow Rangers Nation, which is my main channel, my big channel. 7.57 thousand subscribers, growing daily, guys. Want to get to 10,000 subs by the end of this coming season. Want to be in a position, hopefully, to go full-time with it eventually. But I've also now got the Owen James Football Channel. That is my only other channel that I'm running with now, that I'm doing. It's all about Scottish football. It's about the SPL. It's about Europe, a little bit about European football as well to some degree, but it'd be mainly about Scottish football, guys. We've released videos on the channel already. The link is in the live chat now. The link is going into the live chat now. So, over on that channel, I did a video on Hearts and the Tony Bloom investment. I did a video about Josh Mulligan signing for Hibs, about Simon Murray's comments about Dundee and the Shankland contract situation. Then I did a video yesterday about Celtic signing Callum Osmond and us signing Joe Rothwell. And then I did a video today about Lawrence Shankland signing a new deal with Hearts. So those videos are all out now. We're up to 98 subscribers over there. So if you could get me up to 100, that'd be fantastic. Alder says Mark Goldbridge is the double of Keir Starmer. Is it just me? That's quite alarming, mate. How many more signings do you think Rangers will need? Mate, I'd love to see another 3 or 4 signings, mate, through the door. Another 3 or 4. If you do that, you won't have to be subjective. Can't let personal feelings come into. I won't. I have an RM. I've even look, mate. Go and watch my video about the Celtic player that the Callum Osmond that they've signed. Go and look. I mean, I did not slag them off once, mate. Go and watch it. Your new channel is good, mate. Keep it up. Thank you, Uncle Lumbago. Right, guys, that is it for tonight. We've gone over the hour mark. 3 more, says Paul. Mate, I'd settle for 3-4 more. That'd be spot on. If one of them's a striker, even better. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow night. Obviously, please look out for the pod tomorrow night. I'm about to go away and schedule it now. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Guys, please obviously like, comment, share and subscribe if you've enjoyed the content. And obviously please make sure you tell everyone about the new channel and this channel to get them both growing. I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers ASAP on that channel. The quicker we get to 1,000 over there, the more we can do with it, the more we can promote Scottish football, promote the Scottish football product, which is what I want to do. I want to help with Scottish football, to bring Scottish football up. It's a great product, guys. It's a fantastic product. You know, the passion of the old firm, you know, the Hearts, the Edinburgh Derby, it's all great. So please obviously help. Guys, thank you for watching. As always, please remember on the way out, we are the people.